unlawful travelers across time. Their mission, protect the past, preserve the future. These agents are known as Time Cops.
I like her sexy voice.
The amount of just science noises happening in like the sound mix, it's just like bing, pew, 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 pew. Like that's they added a new noise to the sound mix. I don't know if you noticed this one somewhere in I think maybe in the second episode it starts. You know those tubes that you get at the fair that you whip around your head and make that like woo noise?
The African.
Well, they call it that was the
soccer
vuvuzela. But this is like the dumb white trash version of that, where it just kind of goes woo.
Yeah, we had that,
and then it stops. That's in the sound mix on this show now. If you listen every once in a while, it just makes that noise for no reason.
Oh man, I like her sultry, like it's like phone sex but AI.
Yeah.
Time Cops.
It's like because they're gonna figure out sex robots, but they just start with the voice first. Yeah. Welcome to Canceled. We're back, and we're already talking about this terrible ass show. We're watching Time Cop. Jay Whitecotton's here.
I know this show is awful because the second I see you downstairs before we go up to the studio, I'm just like, bite your tongue.
Yeah.
Bite your
Keep
tongue.
it in, save it for the podcast. But I also see, like, when I see you, it's like when like vets run into each other. You know what I mean? Like you just both know you've been through some shit.
Yeah.
How's things? What's going on with you?
Why would they be good?
Sure, it's life.
Why would anything ever be good?
Yeah, of course. That makes sense.
It's the worst question. I hate asking it because it always involves me having to say, how are you?
Right.
And then you're screwed. 'Cause if you're doing well, you can't say that. So you just got to be like, same.
Yeah, life, you know. Well, I watched 2 episodes of Time Cop today, so my day was not great.
I got super high and watched it last night.
Yeah.
Just to get a feel into it, and then watched it again this morning. And I got to be honest, this is the first time where I hated you.
Trust me, I get you. I have forced a lot of terrible things on people.
Canceled isn't the name of the show. It's the name of all your friendships that you've abused.
I have made some people watch some terrible shit. And I will say, as bad as the first 4 episodes have been, and they have been bad, this was the first time I felt like they were bored. Like these were 2 boring episodes.
It was really bad.
And they might be the most complicated episodes yet. There's
a lot there.
There's like alternate timelines and whatever. There's a lot of shit going on, and somehow it's all very sleep-inducing. Like the 5th episode, first one we watched today, they have to go to World War II and stop the Nazis. That is inherently dramatic. There's like inherently
even bad
a lot of shit going on. Yeah,
about that is still better.
It's going to be. It's still going to at least be like, oh, I want to see if the Nazis win or whatever.
Yeah, zombie Hitler. All right,
sure, fine. By the way, did you notice the Hitler in this episode? They couldn't find an actor willing to sacrifice a real mustache for 2 days, so he just has the phoniest of mustaches. A guy who clearly just makes his whole job living as being a Hitler impersonator. I don't know if there's a lot of Hitler.
No, they're like Santa Claus. Every guy who can play Hitler, that's all he does.
Right.
I check on IMDb.
Yeah.
And for the most part, it's always
Hitler down the line. You just got that face. So this is episode 5. Here's the basic premise, and it's such a weird choice to begin with. A dude goes back in time to help the Nazis win so that they will fund his like science, his technology business, which will just be bringing he brings a laptop back in time, and that's
it's not just any dude. It's a 90s raver dude.
I did write that. I literally wrote, why is this skater dirtbag trying to help the Nazis? Because you don't need to help the Nazis to do if they don't make. He's not a Nazi. Like he doesn't
America
like the Nazis.
Hired Nazis.
Yeah.
We have a Nazi department. America would have gladly taken your future secrets.
You wouldn't just. You could have just snuck right in Operation Paperclip like the rest of them. You'd have been fine. But no, he has to go and help the Nazis, and he actively dislikes Nazis.
Yeah.
All you have to do is show up at any point in history with a laptop. You are God. You are just
even
immediately
Italian
rich.
Fascists would have appreciated it and been like, yeah, fuck the Nazis.
It's such a weird choice to make this guy fucking like snarky towards the Nazis, but he's also the bad guy. It's just a weird move. So he has to help the Nazis. and we're going to send our guy back in time to stop that, right?
Can I address a couple of things? I don't know
I
if
have
you
a lot of shit to address, but by all means.
Okay, I don't know if you noticed this either, but it looks like we went through 4 episodes where there were just like typical cops just smoking and drinking in their offices, like, I got to go back to the 15th century.
Yeah.
This is the first time where it looked like they had a budget.
Yeah, there was like more shit going on.
Futuristic stuff.
Not the least of which, and this makes me furious. Do you notice that here someone has arrested Genghis Khan? It's literally just it's like the Men in Black offices where there's just random aliens walking past. Someone has arrested Genghis Khan, and it's not a guy in a Genghis Khan costume. He's like, all right, Genghis, let's keep it moving.
Genghis Khan.
It's Genghis Khan. I'm sorry.
No. I'm not. I wasn't yelling.
I understand. You don't think that's changing history a wee bit? If the whole premise is you can't fuck with the timelines, you just brought Genghis Khan to San Dimas High.
Being a fan of history, here's how it didn't affect history. Okay. You could actually do that with Khan because his body was never found. They purposely, like how he was buried, they buried him, and then they murdered the people that buried him.
Gotcha. So no one could find his body?
Yeah.
Right, except for the fact that they took him as an alive human.
Yeah.
They just grabbed him.
Yeah.
So, like, they didn't take him on his deathbed, right? No. So there's stuff coming after that point where they took him that he wouldn't be doing.
Maybe they took him and that whole thing was a lie.
Also, what time crime did he commit? They are time cops. They only arrest people for time crimes. How does Genghis Khan have a fucking time machine?
Isn't 10% of all civilization related to him somehow?
There's some like internet thing that I've read, and I don't know if it's true, but yes, supposedly some amount of some percentage of population because he just ravaged so much.
I want to see that show, Time Con. Genghis Khan going through time.
Oh, what if it's just like that terrible Vince Vaughn movie where he donated a bunch of sperm and now he's got 100 kids?
That sounds like a lot of them.
Just Genghis Khan.
That sounds like a lot of Vince Vaughn movies.
It's Genghis Khan, but then he has to raise a bunch of children he never knew he had.
Is this the sequel to Wedding Crashers?
Yeah. And then I would also like to say it's weird. The blonde cop's just not there.
Okay, I looked up her IMDb. I'm really trying to research engineer. I was like, why is this full character actor's name? I did everything. There's there's not a lot of research.
It turns out not a lot of people written word on Timecop, the TV series.
Not a lot of emotional investment onto it, which is like capitalism. Find a need and fill it. I was confused. I'm like, did they do one of those things where they just replace the actress and?
I thought they were doing that, but then she's just back in the next episode.
Yeah, I watched it the second time I watched it, specifically going, okay, maybe they fixed it with a line. We got this one replacing this other one on leave.
Yeah. Why? Well, did she actually have to just not be like the
she had to film a made-for-TV movie about being an alien with psychic powers. Seriously, that's the only thing I can guess.
That's great.
Because they came out in the same year. Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, they had to do reshoots.
And then, so there's a new tech nerd as well. Okay. Oh, please go ahead. Continue.
Okay, go. Okay. That tech. Okay, so they have the wacky Kurt Fuller character who's like, I know everything about history without looking it up. They gave him a sidekick that's wackier.
Yeah. Who for some reason he's supposed to make a some sort of pitch to the House committee on such and such or whatever.
Yeah, there's a House committee on time crimes,
or whatever.
The agency itself on whether we should be investing money on all this time travel, stopping people from trying to rechange the continuum.
Maybe it's the only thing. In a world where time travel exists and people are going back actively trying to change history, it should be the only thing our government is focused on.
But nobody cares.
No, and it's a bureaucracy. It's
a hassle to deal with time travel. People are so bored of it. They're like, I don't want to even.
So he's got a wacky sidekick. The Kurt Fuller's like, you were just supposed to present him with facts, and he's like, yeah, but I figured if I showed him our graphic, whatever.
Yeah.
And he has a lady hologram that turns up naked for some reason, and he's like, that was a glitch. No, that's not a glitch. You had to make
CGI.
If you make a hologram. It doesn't and you make it with clothes. It doesn't just have titties underneath that. You have to program titties. So you creepy tech creep made a naked one, then clothed it, and then took its clothes.
Which is the most accurate part of the show.
Sure. That people are all creepy.
Also, this is filmed in 97, 98, so clearly they're trying to jump in on that whole swing revival, which is why he's dressed like a newsboy with the Greek hat.
For sure they are. That is 100% true. I felt like this whole episode felt weird.
I feel like there's
ABC maybe a new writing craft, or they were like, same
shitty writers.
Yeah.
They have no choice. They're chained.
There's just something
they
weird
threw
about
money into it. They threw money into it. Like, okay, this isn't quite working.
Maybe
what if we
dress it up or something?
We dress it up. We find a wackier newsboy to techie.
Yeah, but there's also just weird choices. Like, they make Logan in this episode. They're like, okay, you got to go back and stop this Nazi. This is like the biggest fucking thing in the world. And he's like, well, come on. I'm tired of going back. I'm tired of doing all this time travel, time fighting.
I need a
crime
break.
Fighting. You have been the opposite of that for the whole run of the 4 episodes. You've been gung-ho. I never want to stop. All I want to do is fight crime. And now the second you can go fight the fucking Nazis, you're like, nah, send the other guy. Who, by the way, Matt, the lieutenant, he's like, why don't you send that guy? And he goes, he's home with the flu. Plus, he snaps if there's too much foam in his latte.
Yeah.
What? Why are you, like... I get, like, that's supposed to be like,
they knew Starbucks
like
culture was going to be a thing in 2007.
But also then he doesn't get to be a cop. Like, if you can't send him on things because he snaps on his coffee order, then you got to sit that dude down.
That's actually the entrance to be a cop. Are you outrageously angry at little things and prone to violence? How about the main point of the fact is, I don't speak German.
And they sent him anyway. What?
Not a big deal.
No, it'll be fine. And he's able to cover that because he goes like, Danke Shane, and then punches the guy.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to get to that. He really does not speak German.
I would also like to say they must figure out a better technology as far as entering the new timeline. Because... yes, sometimes it's like, oh, it's comical, right? You fell in that lady's bed. You walked through that mirror.
This was the first episode.
He lands on a table full of Nazis. He comes through a beer hall, lands on a table full of Nazis, and he goes, Heil Hitler, and then...
Guten Tag.
Yeah, whatever the fuck.
Sorry to interrupt your beer hall putsch.
Yeah.
I'm from the future.
I came in through a portal in front of 50 Nazis. Like... that doesn't make its way back to people.
And escaped.
Yeah, it still makes it out just fine. He immediately knocks a guy out and steals his uniform.
An officer, a guy that everyone would know.
For sure. And also has to wake up at some point. Like
we need to establish this because the show is so bad. We miss some of the integral parts.
Sure.
The new girl.
Right.
Like, I don't want to dismiss her part, even though clearly the writers did.
Oh, immediately. But yes,
She's a therapist, and they have history. They've dated, and because they're using that as a device, because the only way this character can be written is if there's some dumb passive broad who's angry at him.
Right.
That's the only way that character
only
can exist.
motivation. Yeah.
They put 200 in. They threw a sideshow of him talking to a girl on voicemail, which was on the computer, FaceTime, basically.
Yeah.
Which they got right. Where she FaceTimed her answering machine.
They all did. They did that in the previous episode. When he calls the blonde one, she has the same thing. It's so fucking dumb.
She goes, I don't want to talk to anybody, especially you, Jack.
Yeah, because you stood me
Logan
up
or whatever. Yeah, because you're a piece of shit. And then he gets angry and kicks his desk. He's like, his emotions swing back and forth. He's playing with the psychologist at first. Like, oh, we have this weird, cool little history thing.
Yeah.
And then she comes in like, why are you going to do your job? You're just trying to escape from your present by going to the past, which I thought was a brilliant line and was a really actually like, that's actually the story I want to see.
Right.
But that's his fucking job.
It's also a very important job. Also, the previous...
He didn't want to do it.
He didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it at all. He's been arguing the whole time about not go get the other guy. I'm sick of it. I just came back from one. How am I supposed to do two like back to back? This is too stressful or whatever.
And now he's getting shit for having to do it, and he's not even going like, I don't want to. Well,
to be fair, the other whatever his name is, the lieutenant's like, come on. Well, like he doesn't want, like, he says something like the other guy's sick or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, who gives a shit? And also, you're a terrible therapist. Yeah. So you fucked this dude. Like, you dated this guy. You can't also be his therapist.
And also, you can't give him shit on the job. You gotta be like, are you okay? Are you emotionally... Like, that? None of that is... She used no psychology.
So he goes back in time. He lands on... No, we're good. I've got a lot of... There's so much to be mad at in this boring episode, by the way. I do have to reinstate. It sounds like a lot of shit is happening. There is so little investment in any of it. And, like, he doesn't take it seriously at all.
Yeah.
That, like... there's no real stakes. Everything can just be erased by a time jump or whatever.
It's one of those Adult Swim shows, like Eagle Heart.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
In Children's Hospital, it's the same, except those shows actually have character development. It's acted the same way. If you just pretend like Rob Corddry is this time detective, it's a lot easier.
They go back in time. I would also like to say he lands on the table full of Nazis. Why doesn't he ever just land like in the ocean or in the sky, or you know what I mean, or like morph halfway into a wall?
That happens in this episode. We'll get to that.
Okay,
I'll point it out.
I must have missed that one, but I believe you. So he lands back in time. He knows he's supposed to find this woman who is like a resistance fighter. She's like a double agent inside the Nazi like offices or whatever, right? So he finds her. She speaks English.
Not only that, can you believe this? That she is good looking too.
I know, surprising. There's nobody in the steno pool that's like
sexual
got
tension.
a hump on her back or anything.
It's kind of weird how this person that is so needed for this plot is also a lot of sexual tension.
I would also like to add, her name is Hannah Schmidt, and he goes, he like plugs into the computer. He's like, Berlin, 1944. Find and locate Hannah Schmidt, because there's only one of them in Berlin. There's only one woman named Hannah Schmidt in all of Germany. Come on. He has to convince her that he knows, like, she's like, how am I supposed to trust that you're actually who you say you are? Or whatever.
He's the most American.
He's like, clearly very
It's not just, he's not just an American. Like, they did the thing with this time travel device. You're familiar with the ugly American stereotype? The, like, when Americans go to Europe.
Yeah.
And they're just like, why isn't there McDonald's?
Right,
yeah. It's not bad. It's no Disney World. You know, that's what he is, but from the future.
For time? Yeah.
For all of time, we're just sending shitty American tourists to Germany. I don't speak the language. Just mad and yelling. And she's got to act like, how do I know you're really an American, as he does all the most American things.
That is very true. But also, he goes to like, your name's Hannah Schmidt. You graduated such and such. Your brother was killed at a student protest and blah, blah. So he knows all these things. And then he's like, you have a mole on your left inner thigh. There's literally no way you would know that. Like, I get that you're from the future, so you could know things that happened in the past, like her brother's murder and whatever. But they're like, the time cops can't just Google her moles. It's fucking so goddamn. And but what's annoying is,
hold on,
it's the thing that convinces her to be like, oh, he really does know.
Listen, we're gonna, there's a lot of bad things you can say about the Nazis, right? A couple of things, at least. But you can't disrespect their ability to keep good records.
Fair enough. That is very true. They were meticulous. So she believes that he's not an American, that they have to go in and stop this rocket test because the bad guy from the future has brought back the plans to make a nuclar weapon or an atomic bomb. She even
said, you don't speak German. Why did they send you?
Yeah, even the characters in the show know it's stupid. But she convinces him, like, in order to prove that you're trustworthy, you have to go steal this list, right? It's a list of like undercover operatives that if they get, it's the knock list from Mission Impossible, whatever. Yeah. So we have to steal the list before they can finish cracking the code, list. Right? So she distracts a dude at the desk by spilling coffee on him. Here's what I love about this. The one thing I do kind of enjoy about this show, there are constantly like him throwing the diamonds and it doesn't work or whatever. Like, she spills the thing on the guy and he walks past. But, like, immediately one of the Nazis is like, hey, who the fuck is that guy? And just follows him. Like, there's this whole big setup of her flirting with a guy and pouring coffee for the plan to just not work at all.
Well, it didn't help that she kept, like, side-eyeing, looking around.
Sure. They were both very shifty. So he goes back. He goes to find a thing, but they find him immediately. But he's able to, like, I think he takes the list with him. He time travels out of the room, right? And the bad guy Rediker is his name, is the Nazi the not Nazi from the future, sees the time travel thing. He realizes what's going on. But there was like he put a Nazi in future clothes.
Yeah.
Like he put a Nazi in like a Garfield t-shirt or whatever. So that when he showed up,
it was Queen Elizabeth as an older woman.
Wasn't, I didn't even notice.
Yeah, no, I made it a point to notice that because I thought that was a brave choice. One, that they had that in the 90s.
Like that was a shirt. Yeah. So he goes back in time. They know now that there's a time, like both of the time travelers know each other. He's shot he thinks the guy from the future has been shot.
This is how shitty it is. Even explaining it is so
He thinks the guy from the future has been shot because the guy dressed like he's from the future has been shot, but really that was just a Nazi decoy.
Yeah.
And he goes...
Not just shot. Okay, I want to set this up right because he didn't have to die at all. They're in the room. He kidnaps the guy. He marches in there, like past the guards. The guard's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Locks the door and goes, hey... Gotcha. Where is it? And the guy's like, it's right here. Here's the laptop. Here's the thing. All right, I'll be taking this. Right. Nice try. Where are you from? And blah, blah, blah. And then they bust in.
Right.
And then he jumps behind the desk as they're shooting in that left to right motion.
Classic.
Where the guy's just standing there. Yeah, get him. Oh, no. You got me. They clearly could have just stopped firing
for a second. Yeah, no.
Said, get the fuck out of the way, Hans.
Yeah.
We're trying to kill the future guy.
Yeah, no dice. He goes back in time, and when he gets back, he goes back to the future. Wink, wink. And the Nazis have won.
Okay, yeah. He's back in the car.
He's back
in.
Of course, that's how Timecop works.
And the door's open, and the big reveal is Nazi flags.
Yeah. Swastika's in the Timecop office.
And now the therapist that he'd been fucking around is now a Nazi, and she's like, we got to capture this guy.
Yeah. I also think it's funny that, like, just people, like, let's say, I get that the Nazis won, right? So, like, does that make people who are now good guys, like, time cops or whatever, they would just be Nazis still? Like, they wouldn't maybe join the resistance or whatever? There's just nothing. They're just immediately like, oh, we work for the Nazis now, whatever, check's a check. Like, it's so weird.
Is it?
I guess. No, they're all cops. They don't make sense.
In today's climate, they're having Wall Street articles about Nazis. Like, yeah, I kind of like some of the Nazi ideas. And they're putting it in the news. Like, can you believe this guy? There's
one in the White House, valid point. All of ICE. You're making a lot of sense. So he...
Okay, hold on, but I gotta parlay this because there's two things that have made the show more interesting to me. When they had the different character replace the blonde, isn't it a weird thing if you think like as a meta plot or a subplot? What if we're not watching a bad show? We're actually watching the results of them affecting the timeline that they're not aware of.
Ooh. Okay, I think you're overthinking this, but
I have to overthink this.
So what you're saying is they made a good Timecop. There was a good version of Timecop, but in the show, they have traveled back in time and fucked with the timeline, so now the show Timecop is bad.
Is so bad.
Okay.
It's, not just good, like, in their world.
Right.
Like, when he went back and he comes back in the next episode, the blonde's now a brunette with a whole different backstory. That could be time travel afflicted. Yeah. That they're not aware of in the show, but we, the viewers, like, this sucks. But if we fought that.
See, now okay. All right. Now,
that's how boring this episode was.
I do have to say this. They didn't do any of this, right? This is all horseshit. But if in 3 episodes they do a thing where Ian Pasco or whatever has been fucking with the timelines, that's why everything's so weird, and then he clean back up the weirdness.
Yeah.
That would be like, oh, this is a fucking interesting show.
Yeah, they have to solve a mystery that they're unaware
of until and then we get flashbacks to why this changed and this changed and this changed, and if we had known Ian Pasco, it's all now makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't do any of that. But that being said, that would make the show much better.
Yeah.
So he goes back. He has to go back to the past now to finish, to right the wrongs and stop the Nazis, right? But of course he has to fuck the blonde.
He immediately has sex.
Which, again...
He's on a timeline. He's like, there's still time for this.
But also, wild risk of changing the past. Okay, if you knock her up, it's all over.
He goes, okay, hold on. This, I'm so sorry. I apologize. To, especially the engineer that has to fucking put up with this. All right, dude. He goes back to, okay, he thinks he's got the laptop, he's got all those things, goes to the future, back to his own time.
Oh, no.
Finds out it's Nazis. Yeah. He still escapes.
Yeah, still somehow. It's just a fucking wristwatch. So all it does is turn the wristwatch
this cop department is the worst run department.
They're terrible. They're terrible.
We already dealt in the previous episode, Ian Pasco just waltzing in and out.
Sure. And that when he fucking reveals his disguise in the lobby of the police station. We'll see in the next episode.
Even in Nazi future, it's still his shitty place.
Still poorly run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still awful. He escapes, and when he comes back, and this is the thing I was trying to earmark, when he escapes, he puts it, how hard could this be? Not a big deal.
Yeah.
I'm going to jog it. He fawns it.
Right.
And then he goes back, and that's when he's in the air on the roof. He falls on the roof from the sky.
Oh, I missed that.
And then I was like, oh, this is not a sexual assault. This is totally different.
Yeah. Also, you just got lucky that there was a building there. Yeah. Like, God damn it. So he goes back, he finds her again. But now here's the other thing, and this is important to me for the next episode as well. When he comes back, he sees himself. He comes back a little bit before he went back to the future, right? Yeah. So when he goes to that office where he went back to the future, the alternate timeline version of him is there trying to steal the shit, right? Yeah. So he's like hiding and watching all that happen. He sees himself. Yes. So now what we have determined by that.
There's a great line.
Okay.
There's a great line. I had to, I don't speak German. No big deal. Ugly American. Hold on. I'm so sorry. I have to read this out.
Find it.
I skipped the line. I forgot you're a total enigma. We're just going to let that go.
Yeah.
I'll let that. I don't even want to put context into that. I want the audience to try and figure that. Here's what he says that he watches himself say, and he doesn't even cringe. He goes, yeah. He goes, he watches himself have what he thinks is the future guy with the laptop. He goes, nice graphics. It's not your daddy's Donkey Kong. And even the future of him looked at him like, fuck yeah.
Nailed it.
Got him.
So my point in bringing this up is what we established in this as far as the rules of time travel is concerned is that if, let's say you go back in time.
Where we're going, we don't need rules.
Where we're going, we don't need scripts. So he goes back in time to a point where he sees himself, right? So theoretically, he could go forward again, come back to a point slightly before that, and now see two of himself.
Yeah.
Right? So he could just kind of populate the past with versions of himself.
I mean, he's already doing that by fucking all the girls in the past.
Also very true. I'm bringing that up, earmark it for the next episode.
Gotcha.
All right, so they realize they're going to have this launched. They're going to launch this atom bomb. Well, he finds the laptop and he smashes it, right? That's the first thing he does. And he's like, that's what they call a crash. So fucking dumb.
That sucks so bad, I blocked it out of my head.
Yeah. It's a bunch of that kind of bullshit. And it's also like, when the guy first shows up with the laptop, the bad guy, the Nazi he's talking to is like, what is IBM? Yeah. And I wanted to be like, oh, you'll be working with them shortly. Yeah. Don't act like you don't know who they are.
Okay. You should talk to Bear.
So they have to stop this rocket launch because they're going to launch an atom bomb at fucking London. At London. Yeah. He sleeps with her, and then the next morning he tells her, like, look, you can't come. It's too dangerous. Because he knows.
That's actually what he said when he was sleeping with her.
Yeah, you can't.
That's what he tells every woman.
Well, he should be saying, I can't come. It's too dangerous.
No.
Because I'm the one that can fucking.
It's too dangerous if you come. I got to come as quick as possible.
But
there's not enough time.
He tells her, like, you can't come. It's too dangerous. She's a fucking spy. You piece of shit. Like, what do you mean? She has been living every moment of her life in constant danger. She can come help you when it's needed the absolute most, right? Yeah. But no, he tells her.
She says, like, is it because I have to die? Like,
basically he knows she's going to die that day. Yeah. But, like, you can't stop that, dickhead. That's the whole fucking point of this show.
And he's trying not to.
No, he is not trying not to. He's actively trying to. He's telling her, don't come to this thing or you're going to die.
Yeah, you got to die here, but not here.
No, I think she's going to...
Because there couldn't have been a rocket test if they never had the technology.
No, they were already going to do the rocket test, but it was only going to be like a V2 rocket and not an atom bomb. There was a whole bunch of bullshit.
No, thank you for catching that.
There was a whole bunch of bullshit. Yeah. So he goes down there. He is so bad at every action-y thing that needs to happen. Because, like, he shows up, he knocks the fucking rocket scientist, the future guy over the head. They're about to kill him, but she shows up and saves the day, right?
Yeah.
But she gets shot in the process, in like the shoulder.
Kind of.
He tackles bad guy.
I thought that was like a prom.
Like a corsage.
I thought it was a corsage.
It looked very cheesy. But here's what's like how he's just such a bad cop. So he fights the fucking future guy. knocks him out, but doesn't like cuff him or anything. Doesn't even knock him out. Just kind of like knocks him down, gets his gun, and then he's like holding him at gunpoint.
Well,
and he goes to check on.
Also a pussy. He's like, I got my sneakers and like multiple 90s earrings.
Yeah, on one ear, that thing. But he's holding him at gunpoint, and he goes to check on the girl. And at one point, we see future guys see a pipe on this truck, right? And he goes to reach for it. And our hero sees him go to reach for it, points the gun at him for a second. Guy stops reaching. Then he goes back to our hero goes back to check on the girl. The guy just grabs the fucking pipe again because you have done nothing to prevent it. You didn't even grab the pipe and move it out of the way.
He looked kind of incredulous that could happen.
He's like, all right. I guess I'll just get this pipe now. Yeah. Immediately hits him. Whatever. All of this is fine. He's manages to. He's going to launch the thing. Except our hero at some point has stolen the plutonium out of the bomb. When did that happen? I don't know. But he has stolen the plutonium, so now it's just a big metal. He's like, it's just 2 tons of steel that's going to land over there in your fancy guidance system. Because that's what he's brought back. He's brought back the ability to make an atom bomb and his guidance system, right? Yeah. But apparently he only had one guidance system because what he's saying is you're shooting your fancy guidance system over there and it's going to crash, so waste of that thing. Yeah. But like, you just make another one, right? Like that was the whole point.
He brought backup.
Yeah,
when they stole his original laptop, he was like, thank God I have backup, and pulled out the same laptop. Like, oh, okay.
I laughed very hard at this one point. So that happens, and then there's like, oh, the other thing you have is this fuel. He has this like extra strong fuel that's going to let the rocket make it all the way to London. So he like he takes the pipe, he sticks it on the gas pedal.
It's what you get at McDonald's, the oil.
Yeah, it's like biodiesel.
Yeah.
He pushes that truck down towards the stand where all the Nazis are watching the rocket test or whatever.
No, this is where I was really just struggling so hard to keep watching.
Sure.
He interrupts the thing, steals the plutonium, goes over a hill. Hitler's there, by the way.
Yeah, Hitler, all of them.
Very upset by this. Like, he's ruining Hitler's big party.
Here's what's funny is Hitler's fine at this point because he doesn't know that like the plutonium and shit's missing. But our future villain says, oh, I can talk these idiots out of anything. So Logan goes, all right, go ahead, talk them out of it. And he walks down there and goes, so the rocket's not actually going to work, but not a big deal. We've got like a bunch of other options. And apparently he thought Nazis, known for being understanding, were going to be just fine with this. And then immediately Hitler's just like, oh, just shoot him, please. Like, of course, they're Nazis. What did you think?
Well, they could have just gone over the hill and stopped him and got the plutonium.
Absolutely.
He didn't go far.
He didn't go far. He blew up his only means of escape. Yeah. He blew up the truck that he could have driven away.
He didn't put the plutonium rod, but I thought he put the plutonium rod in the truck and like used it to jam the accelerator.
It was the pipe that
he took, and it pushes it down, and then has a nice romantic conversation with the girl while she's bleeding out.
To death. Yeah, for sure. It's super weird. And then I don't know why that truck exploded because it just rolled down the hill a little bit and then blew up. Like they didn't hit anything.
No, it hit like these high school bleachers that Hitler was using.
Right, but he's not there anymore
because the right could not afford.
Did he? So are we meant to believe that he blew up Hitler? Because that's kind of funny. I don't think he did, but like that's like if they just made this super slapsticky at the end and this guy just like absent-mindedly blows up Hitler, that'd be pretty.
Can we stop calling him Logan and start calling him Bruce Campbell?
No, because that is very insulting to Bruce Campbell.
No, it is, but it would make this show.
If he was in this, would be like 1,000. Everything. Because he would. Bruce Campbell would know what, like, oh, this show is camp and dumb, and I'm going to fucking eat up every scene and have fun with it, whereas Logan's, like, actually trying to, like,
soap opera.
Play it real. Here's maybe one of my biggest problems with this episode. So he stops the Nazis, he goes back in time, everything's fixed, right? Problem solved. No more Nazis, right? He goes back to the future, rather, no more Nazis. Our dark-haired therapist he's, by the way, dressed in full Nazi regalia, right? He's in a full SS uniform.
Proudly.
He's still wearing it.
Actually, this is cool. Fuller's going to love this.
Let me throw this line out to you. She says, I love a man in uniform. That's a Nazi. You're not supposed to love a man in...
Not in that one.
Not in that uniform.
Not in that one.
No Hugo Boss uniforms. You're not allowed to love a man in Hugo
even
Boss.
Indiana Jones, when he dressed like a Nazi, no one fucked him dressed as a Nazi.
Yeah. It's such a shitty... Like, you don't... It's so lazy because it's like, oh, we need a cliche to wrap this up. I love a man in uniform. Perfect.
Well,
did anybody... No, you don't have a single Jewish writer in that writer's room that could have been like, hey, maybe we don't love him in that uniform?
I want to see. Okay, no, it's in the next episode. But remember that cliche thing because that's going to come up. By the way, my favorite thing about this episode is this: like anytime German archetypes are used as the bad guys because they're great at it.
Yeah.
The Schnell.
Oh, yeah.
The overuse of Schnell. Like
it's one of the 3 German words he knows. By the way,
Schnell.
He says Schnell at one point.
Everyone says Schnell.
Yeah.
That's all they said. Schnell, snap, Schnell. That was it.
Well, I couldn't tell. Like, here's the thing: I'm not great at accents. Or even kind of. Like, if you're German or Austrian or whatever, like, it's all going to blend together. No, not that I could do this. I don't know that she could. Our female spy, she sounded like she was doing like a milkmaid. Like, it didn't sound particularly
I thought
German.
She was the St. Pauli girl.
Yeah. She just yells Ricola a bunch of times in the episode. So that's our episode. That's our Nazis.
That's the Swedish spy. This is a secret with the Ricola giant horn, and they just give out the Nazi codes.
That's how she transmits her drop point. Yeah.
Just a goat writing it all down.
So here's the other thing that I found dumb. So we set up this beginning of this episode. She's arguing that, like, you only want to go back in time to avoid your present, and like you're more comfortable.
Cool device.
It's not bad. And he says, like, I don't like. It's basically saying, but that would have worked if he was super gung ho to go back in time, which he was.
And he wasn't really escaping any problems, except I'm a little tired from my last mission.
And he did, like,
and
stood up that girl, which just makes him a dick. Yeah, exactly. So that's the setup at the beginning. When he comes back, he says, look, I think maybe you're right. Maybe I haven't worked along. Do you want to, like, go get a drink? Like, he's like, I would like to talk about that. Maybe over for a drink. Yeah. And she goes, oh, great. Where do you want to go? And he says, I know a lovely little speakeasy in the 1920s New York. And she's like, and it's like, well, then you didn't learn shit because you still want to time travel. Like, what? So what even is the point of setting up the emotional thing? And if the end part is just going to be a dumb laugh line.
And why is he dating this girl when he's already dating this other girl?
He's also not dating either of them for starters. And third, that's your goddamn therapist. Like, she needs to be fired for starters.
I think that was their homage because they didn't really homage many World War II movies except maybe Dirty Dozen.
Yeah. There's like a little bit.
They didn't really do it, so they decided to rip off Lethal Weapon dynamic with the psychologist, Murtaugh and Riggs.
So that's episode 5. Episode 6, I did not catch the name of, but it's dumb.
This episode was so boring. I literally in my notes, I'm slamming my phone down because I don't even want to read it. I just wrote 2 sentences and then just forced myself. I'm like, I got to do like, listen, Chris Cubis put a lot into this.
I fucking hate it. So
this is his favorite thing, and he asked you to do it, so you need to come fucking prepared.
I do like that it opens with generic metal and dirt bikes. Now, I didn't catch if it gives us a time. I'm sure it says 19 whatever.
It's the rad episode.
Yeah. What we find out
1985, and this is why you know it's 1985, because the dialogue to let you know it's 1985 is young...
Talking about Star Wars a bunch?
Not Star Wars. They're
talking about Star Wars, yeah.
They're talking about who would win. Top Gun or Han Solo.
Because one kid is saying, like, so they're riding their dirt bikes and he's saying, see, better tires, the better machine always wins. And he goes, no, the better man wins, doesn't matter who he flies. And he's like, oh, Top Gun.
Which is a weird argument for kids to get into.
Such a weird, these are, by the way, they're clearly 26, but they're supposed to be 16. He's like, no, Tom Cruise had the better plane over the MiG, so that's why he won. He goes, no, Han Solo had the Millennium Falcon. It's a hunk of junk, but he's the best, blah, blah, blah. What we find out is that we are currently watching Jack Logan as a teenager and his friend have a dumb Kevin Smith-ass conversation about Star Wars, right?
Kevin Smith.
And then we see a future guy, and you know he's a future guy because he has a spiky blonde haircut and
a shirt that says "Future Guy."
Might as well. And he has a gun that looks like, I don't know if you ever did, like, when you were a kid and you're like, oh, I want like a new toy gun, but I'm poor, so I'm gonna make a toy gun out of like old laundry detergent bottles and whatever. It looked like that.
It was from remember Photon.
Yeah, the knockoff laser tag. Yeah.
Not the knockoff.
No, the cartoon. Yeah.
It was.
But it was like it had like a live action fucking show, right? Like
That was
Power Rangers.
Captain Power.
Well, that was the one with the spaceship that you shot at the TV. Yeah.
This was Photon, and it was just him like, this won't stand out as I stand up on this bright hill and shoot at a child.
So they pull up to this fucking fence, right? And Logan, our hero, but the younger version says, "Oh, let's cut through this fence and then take a shortcut down to the highway." Yeah. And his buddy goes, "Oh, isn't there like landmines in there or something?" He goes, "No, that's a story they tell to keep guys like us that's
an old
driving
over there." Tale.
So they drive, and meanwhile, our guy with the gun starts shooting at them, but they think it's landmines going off. And eventually they just get too far. The future gun can only go like 50 feet because it just says like out of range or whatever. Yeah, because they drive for a while and all shit blows up and then they stop. And he goes, "You fucking almost killed us. I told you there were landmines." And he's like, "Yeah, well, it's a great story." And then they just keep driving in the same area through the landmines.
Yeah.
Through the not landmines. So what we find out, here's the premise of this episode. He goes, in the future, Blonde's back, right? Our blonde lady cop is back. No mention of the therapist. She's just out.
Shouldn't have dated him. They fired her.
Yeah, I would hope. She should be disbarred, or whatever the medical term is for that. Whatever the medical term. She should lose her license, is what I'm saying. She's Professor Plum from Clue, right? She's who lost his license for fucking patients. And so he goes back. There's a time ripple. But it's his time. They realize, it's my town, and we're at his time. This is the line I wrote down. Senate budget meeting on time crime cutbacks. Okay, I got that. Fuller character was because they find out there's a time ripple. I'm starting to pick up why they can figure shit out now. There's a machine that adjusts time ripples. Now, it shows time, right? Yeah. There's a machine that goes, "Oh, look, it's a 6 or
someone's gone back and changed something, and it hasn't caught up to our time yet."
Okay,
that's what.
So if you go back in time, you can you can catch it before the ripple reaches us.
We're like six episodes in,
and we're just figuring out.
Oh, that's how it. That's why they got to get to it in time before the ripple affects their time.
That makes sense.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
And when they tell him the details, it's like, I was in jail that time, and that was my hometown where this ripple's coming in. Hey, that's my life. And then the Fuller character says, "Geez, Logan, I know cliches with more originality." So these are the writer's cry for help. Every episode, the writer has a cry for help.
For sure.
And this episode was him just like, "Please, God, please, someone recognize this."
So he goes back. So there's a little bit of conversation that happens here, right? We find out that he was a bit of a bad boy, and he was a foster kid.
He was a cool teen who didn't play by the rules.
He burned out. He like fucked up his way out of 2 foster families. But this moment when he goes to jail, so he goes to jail because he goes back. He steals his dad's car to take his girlfriend to the prom
to impress her.
Right? But the dad catches him backing out of the driveway and calls the cops. Has him spend a night in jail.
Yeah.
Which the girl then leaves him for his best friend, he says, "But this was like a very important moment in my childhood because it was the time I figured, well, they're going to kick me out too, like all my other foster parents. And my father, when I got out of jail, tells me that I'm not, no son of mine is going to be a juvenile delinquent, which is when I reminded him that I'm not actually his son, and he adopted me. So this was a moment that changed him from a juvenile delinquent path to a good path and staying with his family.
To be a terrible time cop.
Grow up to be a piece of shit boyfriend and a terrible time cop, right? So this moment is important. He goes back in time and immediately just starts talking to people, dressed in his full time cop uniform, full fucking. At one point, someone even says "What's with the Picard outfit?" Which I don't think the timeline adds up correctly, but somebody says
2007. They should know Picard.
2007 should know Picard. I don't know if fucking 85 should know Picard.
No, that came out in 86, 87.
So
did they say Picard? Is that real? Did I miss that?
I'm pretty sure he says what are these two Picard?
I thought they would have just used homophobic slurs on him.
You would think that,
in 85.
Yeah, in small town Arizona or wherever he grew up, for sure someone's calling him an F-word.
Well, that was one of the characters. The excuse for him dressing like that is he must be from Phoenix.
Yeah.
futuristic fashion forward Phoenix, Arizona.
But he shows up and he's dressed full fucking time cop, and he just walks up to a guy who's like owns one of the stores or whatever, or the theater, and he's like, "Oh, Steve, how's it going?" And I go, "Oh, I don't."
Yeah, he comes out the time portal
directly in front of a movie theater that's playing Time Pirates.
Time Pirates.
Yeah. Because no moment can be left fucking subtle.
They couldn't get Goonies. They could.
And could they just make any movie? It has to be time anything. So he walks up to the guy who's sweeping out in the front, and he's like, "Oh, I
want to see Time Pirates.
I used to see. I bet it. Oh, Time Pirates has to be a movie, right? I feel like I've seen Time Pirates. We're getting a from super producer Mike Moody. Let me check Time Pirates. I feel like I've seen Time Pirates, honestly. Although I might be mixing. No, that's Time Bandits.
Yeah, Time Bandits. I think that's what we were alluding
Bandits. To. I am not.
I think they were alluding to Time. I think they were alluding to it, but they didn't actually
pay for the rights.
The fact that you would have to pay for the rights to even mention it.
Oh, you think if someone was like, "Hey, we're going to mention your movie in our thing," and they watched one episode, they'd be like, "Absolutely not." Because I'm thinking Ice Pirates.
There's Ice Pirates exist.
Oh, Time Pirates in 2000.
Yeah, so nope.
Ooh,
wrong time.
Even the movie would.
Yeah. Oh, maybe this is Ian fucking Pasco fucking things up. Maybe a few episodes
it makes
from
more
now.
sense now. Yeah.
Picard, all this shit, the ripples are catching up. So he just starts talking to people like he knows them, and what we find out, he runs into our bad guy, right? And it turns out that our bad guy was an ex-time cop who got caught stealing time machine plans and got sent to jail.
Yeah.
And then he gets out of jail and realizes, well, if I just go back in time and stop Jack Logan from being a cop, then
the rest of my life will be good.
Then I'll be fine. I won't go to jail. I'll still be able to I won't get caught stealing the thing. I can work both sides of the fence. I can be a time cop, but also be traveling
his
time stealing shit.
unofficial time machine is called a time slide.
It's called a time sled.
Sled.
A rogue sled. But I think they also call the real ones, like their versions, as a time sled, and there's a rogue sled.
Again, 6 episodes in.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure that out.
So I guess he was initially just going to go back in time and kill Jack Logan?
Yeah, that was the goal, but instead he turned him into...
It doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
But what he does is he goes and he bonks his father over the head at the hardware store that he owns, which prevents him from stealing... Which stops the dad from preventing him from stealing the car.
But he
also puts a bomb in the car and cuts the brake lines, which is like... I get it, but that's a lot. Like, you could just do the bomb. Just one or the other.
Not only did this kid steal bombs... But he cut his brake lines.
Yeah.
It's truly a bad boy. No cop was like, hey, maybe someone's trying to kill this kid.
No.
Who looks older than the time cop, older version of it.
They have a little tussle. Jack snags him, brings him back into the future.
Yeah.
But when he gets back to the future,
no.
Dun.
Nazi flags.
It's always Nazis. Jack Logan is the worst time criminal in the world.
It's basically essentially a sit-switch roles.
Our blonde guy is a known good guy time cop, but also a known problematic time cop. All the other fucking guys are like, there's something off with fucking Rush or whatever his dumb name is.
He's protected behind the temporal shield.
I would like to say this. When I were talking about the previous episode, I made a point of saying, keep an eye, remember this for the next episode. When Jack Logan goes back to World War II, he sees a version of himself, which means they both now exist in that timeline, right? Our guy has been brought back from the past to this future. Where's our other cop? Where's other blonde cop?
Man,
I don't understand. Why is there not this cop version of him that's been fucking chasing Jack Logan around? All that would have taken was just have him kill that guy. Yeah. Right? Easy peasy.
Or maybe the detectives could all have been a little more suspicious when he jumped out of the portal. I did it, boys! Yeah. I got the bad guy. Wait, I'm the bad guy.
Yeah. Wait
a minute.
Okay, so here's the thing. The whole episode, most of the episode at this point is him trying to convince other people, no, I'm actually a cop, and I've been my time, this man is bad, he has altered my timeline, so now, and everybody there is like, this fucking crazy asshole, come on.
Could never happen.
It is the whole reason Captain, you have a job. Like, it's your only job is to prevent things like this from happening. So I'm not saying you believe him right away, but just the very idea of
don't
it
they have a
shouldn't
machine
be so goddamn
that
foreign.
would see this time ripple? That's like, it's still there.
Absolutely, it's bigger now. It's a much bigger ripple
worse.
now. 100%. It's like, that is why this show fails so poorly. Time travel and goofy kind of gimmicks like this in sci-fi only work if you like. You can establish all the rules. You can make any weird universe you want, but it works by establishing rules and then living within those confines. And this show only establishes rules to ignore them. It is the only reason rules exist.
This show
is like, well, fuck that.
This show is Jack London. It's that's another thing I was like this character, because this is the episode where you're supposed to really care about this guy and know where he comes from and understand him more. But all I see is like a nerd's idea of what a cool guy is.
Yeah.
Man, bitches, man, they just want to fuck me, and I just drop the ball, whatever, I'll fuck them.
Yeah.
Like, that's a nerd, like an idea. Like,
Lots
they're just
of leather.
writing the bully's pouty face. Every scene is just like, well, this is what cool people do.
Right.
Like,
I've never actually met a cool person.
Yeah, and they're just throwing whatever they can, some science into it. The writers are desperately trying to get through this, and I think the producers and the showrunners are like, no, man, it's got to be cool for everyone.
I would also like to add a couple things. One, they call him the Jesse James of time travel at one point, which I like to imagine they mean the guy that like fixes motorcycles or whatever. That was fucking Sandra.
Cheated on Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, exactly. Also, the only thing that has changed, the whole point of like the changing history is that it fucks up everything, right? You make a weird tweak and now everything's different.
Yeah.
The only thing that's different is he's now a bad guy. That's it.
Yeah.
There's no difference. Literally to the point of like he knows where the camera is. Yeah. He can. The code for the wall is your mom's birthday.
He's
or whatever.
had him no longer being the good guy
has had no effect on the world.
So it means all the previous episodes.
Pointless.
So there's still
Ian Pasco's out there fucking
Ian Pasco's
doing all kinds of crazy
shit.
The
Nazis are still in charge.
Yeah. How did he not stop?
Yeah.
Absolutely. He goes to trial and it's.
The trial.
What do you say? 2 minutes? 2.5 minutes?
You say trial.
They sentence him to death.
You say trial.
Let's say 3. I'll be generous. 3.5 minutes.
It's not just that they sentenced him to death. They actually gave him the option. Hey, tell us where this device is, or we're going to kill you.
And he's like, well, I don't know where the device is, so I can't tell you.
You leave me no choice.
Sentenced to death. Like
Black judge.
Yes.
Let's be fair. That's the show's commitment to diversity.
Yeah, they finally got a black person. There's been more Nazis on the show than there have been black people.
Black female judge.
Black female judge. Very good.
And very wrong in her sentencing.
Terrible. So he shows up and he's like, for some reason, she's like, where's your lawyer? He's like, I'm going to be representing myself, which is just dumb. She's like, okay, so what's your argument?
What if he said, I'm going to represent myself, and then he also
second timeline Logan?
I'm the lawyer Logan from this.
I'd be super here for that. Like, if this show's going to be chaos, then let it be chaos. But right now,
God, man, I want to rewrite this chaotically. This would be so fun.
So they literally sentence him to death. Like, they go, so what's your argument? I say, well, this guy is the bad guy. He's changed my timeline. They're like, she goes, okay, do you want to rechange your plea to insanity, not guilty by insanity? Because that's the craziest thing these time travel people have ever heard of. And he's like, no, I'm innocent. Okay, well, you're dead. Next case. That's the entirety of the trial.
No appeal process.
He's like, okay, I'm going to tell you. He says, I'll tell you.
I changed my mind.
I changed my mind. On the way back to the cell, he goes, I changed my mind. I'll tell you where this led is.
I don't want to die.
But I'll only tell the blonde, right?
Yeah.
He brings her into the interrogation room. He pulls the fucking thing out the wall, which is like the camera, which he just knows where it is. She's like, how do you know where that is? Is there a Timecop book in the library or something?
You psychic?
Yeah.
Hey, you don't have any ability to, go back and forth through time.
Yeah. He convinces her. She had told him previously that she didn't go to the prom because she was the boys at her school called her TSNA, too smart, no action.
That sucks.
It just sucks. It's terrible.
That sucks.
I mean that is how he's able to convince.
Again, that was a nerd writing this.
Oh, for sure.
Take that, Jessica.
Yeah. TSNA stands for like tough shit. Nancy Albright is specific. Just a person he knows.
That's a person.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know that person. That was a made up name. So he eventually is like, she's not believing him, but he takes her hostage to escape, right? And
in the worst way, he like puts his arm around in a way that doesn't really. I'm going to snap
he's not
her
actually,
neck.
yeah.
And they have guns drawn, and specifically, like we're thinking, he actually says, it's too close, and the pulse ratio.
Whatever, you can't hit her without him.
It's kids arguing. You can't shoot me because it's actually I'm in lava. I'm protected by a barrier.
I would like to make this point, which the show does quite poorly. He says you can't hit. You got a 44 custom regulation, whatever is this thing, and there's no way you can hit me without hitting her.
Yeah.
And then the guy proceeds to do exactly that. He just shoots him without hitting her, and is fine. Like there's no problems.
And everyone gives him shit for it. He's like, guys, I'm trying to be proactive.
He's a cop. Like, isn't that what you're supposed to do? But now everybody's starting to get a little suspicious of the blonde bad cop. Blonde female cop
Iceman from Top Gun.
believes him. Yeah, he's very Iceman. She believes him because of the TSNA thing, and he knows the mom's birthday is the code for the thing to get out the emergency escape hatch or whatever.
Okay. I think I know where you're going with this. So she's still not buying. Like she was kind of buying it, but
she wasn't there. She wasn't 100% convinced.
And then what made her not buy it was when he threatened to murder her to escape. And then she was like, "Oh, here we go. I knew it." And then they're not very far away from the precinct when he's like shot. He's like, all right, you're going to have to take care of me. And he passes out. Mm-hmm. And instead of going with her initial...
They're in like the garage. They're not even far. Yeah.
She could have just been like, oh, well, we got him.
Yeah. That bullet to the gut
I'm a little confused, but I'm pretty sure this guy's bad.
We'll figure it out.
No, she was like, all right, I'm going to just save this guy.
Take him to a motel, patch him up, fuck him. They have a moment. Also, he is gut shot by a fairly large weapon. She puts a gauze pad on the outside, and he is up and running, no problem, just fine.
2007, man. She just gave him a Klonopin.
So here's another very dumb, cheap writer thing that happens here. He convinces her, okay, if this is true, then we have to find, and he's got this rogue sled out there. We have to find the rogue sled. Where would it be? And she says, like, where does he live? And he goes, oh, he lives in South Street. And it's a terrible neighborhood. He goes, oh yeah, he got it for a steal from the MTA, and that's the subway station. And he's, oh, that's actually, when you say that, his house is directly above an abandoned subway line. Okay, I guess
just okay. They're talking about, they're like, okay, they're in this location.
Yeah.
Hey, doesn't blonde guy live around there?
Yeah. Well, that's the next part, which is even dumber than this part. So it's like, oh, he happens to be
confused. Oh my God.
No, you're fine. They're both dumb. This part is he's talking to the blonde cop and finding out where he lives, and he lives above this subway station, right? So, well, that sounds like we probably should go check that out. They go there. There's a future lock on the fence. There's like an abandoned subway station, but there's just a crazy lock on it. The detective says, we got a call from a hotel clerk. Says 2 people checked out. Looked a lot like Logan and Fuller or whatever her name is.
One of them bleeding profusely.
No, they don't even say that. They just say, looks like them. Who is this hotel clerk who's just calling the cops whenever 2 people check out of their hotel?
Yeah, he's the guy that's in every Law and Order episode. He just happens to remember every detail
of his job
in a New York bar.
But the cops don't. At least in Law and Order, the cops show up to the bar to ask questions. This guy is just calling the cops. Did they put out an APB to hotels? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And that's when they go, oh, that hotel is in the South Street area. Isn't that where blonde guy, isn't that by where you live, blonde cop? And he goes, oh yeah, I'll go check it out. And he sneaks off creepily. Yeah.
Obviously. And they're like,
But the hotel wasn't in South Street. No. They found out he lived in South Street and had to go there when they were leaving the hotel. So what the fuck are you people even talking about? Yeah. It just makes me... So she's going to put him back into the right timeline. Bad blonde shows up.
Yeah, they break into the fucking division.
Right. Well, no, they go to his creepy fucking. They go to his rogue. They find his rogue sled.
His rogue sled looks exactly.
They say exactly that. They go, this looks exactly like our place back in the thing. He goes, well, yeah, that'll happen when you steal Timecop plans.
It's why we save money on set design.
It's exactly right. They just moved some desks and now we're in a subway station.
You know what this reminds me of? Like if they had a character. Did you watch? It's not The Good Boys. It's the one where Brendan Fraser is like the comic book TV show. The DC network was pushing it.
Not with Brendan Fraser. I haven't.
Jamie,
seen
could you pull up? It just came out.
Yeah. The Swamp Thing or something?
It was right before Swamp Thing. Okay. Same channel. Doom Patrol. Doom Patrol. Thank you, sir.
I didn't know Brendan Fraser was in it.
Okay, Doom Patrol. Incredible.
I hear it's great, yeah.
It's incredible. The dude from Firefly is in it, and he basically plays, it's called the narrator.
Right.
And he actually narrates the thing as if he's one of us. But I know this is a slop of shit, but here he's like...
That's fun,
It's fun and it makes sense. Right. If they had it in the show, wow, we save on set design. Right. Like, it would just make everything so much better.
He manages to get out just in time, but our blonde... bad cop shoots female blonde cop. Yeah. She's dead. So now he's got to fix time, right? Yeah. Goes back in time, steals some guy's car.
He steals a car again.
He's constantly stealing cars. And also, by the way, that guy's a pussy because he doesn't have a gun or anything. He just shows up. He just runs up and goes, "Give me your keys." And the guy's like, "Okay."
There's a ginger kid with like
a real shitty girlfriend. That girlfriend was being real shitty.
Yeah.
He manages to catch up to his boy, his younger version of himself, who is driving the super fast car with no brakes and a bomb in it, and tells him to hit the emergency brake and turn hard to the right. And that prevents him from hitting the tree that was going to kill the girl and end up sending him to jail and starting him on his life of crime. How does blonde cop get there? So are we to understand that you get in the sled, right? You shoot into the future or the past, whatever. And then the sled's back? Because you're not in it? Because then blonde guy must have...
We talked about this on the previous episode. We have no fucking idea.
So blonde bad cop also shows up.
Time is a circle, man. It's a carousel.
He's holding the gun on... And this made me so mad. So he's holding the gun on young Logan and new Logan, right?
It sucks.
And young Logan... And
I don't even want you to finish this. That's how bad this sucks.
He tells his younger version...
I'm time to kill you. They're all talking about time future in front of the kid, by the way.
Yeah, for sure. Back and forth. I think this is where he goes, what's up with the Picard get-ups, I think he says at this point. But whatever. They're having a bunch of time conversations in front of this kid.
And
Logan
sneakily says,
"Hey, remember what your dad got you for Christmas last year?"
Which is in no way a signal for the bad guy to go, hey, they seem up to something.
Sure. It's not a code that you would just use. It's not like he said, like, hey, kid, nice knowing you, and that was code for something. No, he just says a thing. So he says that, and young Logan goes, yeah, and karate kicks the gun out of the bad guy's hand.
Karate Kid kicks.
Because we find out that his dad had gotten him karate lessons for Christmas the year prior, which is dumb. And also, I guess actually does kind of make sense because Jack Logan as a cop now, his level of karate is like a kid who took got a karate lesson for Christmas one year, and that was it. He manages to, all right, so that's fine. He brings him back. We have a reverse moment that we saw previously of now he's a cop again, but the exact same thing happens. So like Lieutenant's like, right, scumbag or whatever with the gun, but now he's pointing it at the bad guy, right?
I feel like sometimes when we're doing this, I feel like I temporal out of my body and feel like I'm what would a person listening to us talk about this would think we're insane? They would think we're absolutely insane.
This has nothing to do with that, but a moment very okay. So the other day I was taking my dog for a walk in the morning, right? And we go on the same little path. He mostly shits in the same yard every morning. But I realized I'd forgotten to grab a bag to pick up his shit with, right? So I go back to the house, I grab a bag, and then I'm going to this. I go, and I'm like, oh wait, I gotta go to the store. Let me go to the store for a second. So I go to the store, and on my way back, I'm like, oh, I gotta pick up that poop. So I get out, pick up some poop, get back in my car to go throw it out. But I realize someone's on the street. So all they saw was me pull up, hop out of my car, grab a handful of dog shit, and drive away. Which is like
perfect crime.
Yeah. Which is exactly what someone listening to us talk about this show would be like, what craziness is happening right now?
You could have called this show where we just describe our dreams.
Yeah.
That have no linear sense.
Yeah.
And people would be listening to us like, God, this is terrible.
Right.
Please stick it out.
We've got 3 episodes left, so we're going to watch all 3 for next week. Do you think we're going to get like a wrap up, or do you think the show got canceled early and it's just going to end?
If we're 9 episodes, it clearly got canceled.
Sure.
Clearly.
Yeah, nobody does a 9-episode run.
This is 97 when there wasn't that much television as there is now saturating it.
Yeah.
So when they would commit to something to like at least 13, right?
Yeah, I would imagine.
13 to 20?
Yeah, I mean,
Briscoe
TV at
County,
the time used to be 22 episodes.
Yeah, Briscoe County Jr. had like 24 first sign. Like all those bad shows at least got a full season.
Right.
So clearly ABC was like, fuck this.
I would like to see a dinosaur. I want to see. Well, here's my main question: do you think we're going to see Ian Pascoe again in the next 3 episodes?
I would hope so, but I'm going to go with no because I hope so. That would require foresight that time travel show doesn't even have.
For sure. Anything else you want to plug?
I'm going to plug Bruce Campbell because I really want to.
Go back and watch
Briscoe
County Jr., which we have done for this show. Go back and watch I wouldn't say Jack of Spade or whatever that was.
That was Burnout.
Oh, Burn Notice. Burn Notice.
Like,
that show's fun. That's a perfectly fine show. All of those movies, he obviously go watch Bubba Hotep, and he's got ones that are like Evil Dead, things that are respected.
We're plugging Bruce Campbell.
He doesn't need it. Can I tell you this? Bruce Campbell, I've been told, allegedly, travels with a dude whose job is to just handle his weed, and I enjoy that very much. He just has a little briefcase full of here's your weed and your pipes and whatever, and you're good.
You mean
shout out to Bruce Campbell. Yeah. Oh, I think he pays him. But shout out to Bruce Campbell. I'm at Chris Cubis on all social media. The Sting will be the 6th, so it's not this Wednesday, but the following. So come out to the Sting. At Chris Cubis on all social media. Check chriscubiscomedy.com for other dates. Subscribe if you would. YouTube, iTunes, all those places. Subscribe. 5-star review is awesome. We record this podcast at the wonderful Permanent Record Studios here in Austin, Texas. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.
Agents track unlawful travelers across time. Their mission, protect the past, preserve the future. These agents are known as Time Cops.